Could a remote island in the middle of the Pacific hold more drama than an entire season of Game of Thrones? Welcome to Pitcairn, the least populated country in the world. Just 49 inhabitants. And yet, a story overflowing with betrayal, survival, power struggles, and redemption. Every person here could be the lead in a movie. And in fact, it all began as an epic tragedy, a blend of paradise, rebellion, and transformation. Centuries ago, long before Europeans even knew of its existence, the island was inhabited by Polynesians, likely from Tahiti. They built villages, brought animals, cultivated the land. But most importantly, they traded with a neighboring island, Mangariva, rich in culture and resources. Pitcairn offered a precious volcanic stone, obsidian. In exchange, they received food, tools, and support. For about 400 years, everything worked, until the obsidian ran out and Mangariva fell into internal wars. Trade collapsed, isolation turned deadly, and the Pitcairn settlers vanished. When Europeans arrived, the island was deserted. And that's where the most famous and darkest chapter of the story begins. In 1787, the British ship Bounty set sail with a mission to collect breadfruit plants in Tahiti, a cheap food source to feed enslaved people in the Caribbean. After losing its American colonies, the British Empire was desperate to maintain control. What better than cheap food for plantation workers? The Bounty, under the command of William Bligh, reached Tahiti. And there, the sailors found paradise. For 6 months, they lived like kings. The climate, the food, the lush nature, and above all, the Tahitian women, warm, generous, and free. Many sailors formed relationships and didn't want to leave. And really, who would? But the order was to depart. And once at sea, tensions erupted. On April 28, 1789, led by Fletcher Christian, part of the crew mutinied. The captain and a few loyal men were cast adrift in a small boat, just 7 meters long, with barely enough space to lie down. They were given only a small amount of fresh water and food. The rebels were certain no one could survive long in such a fragile vessel, exposed to wind and open ocean. They were wrong. Bligh and his men didn't give up. Returning to Tahiti was impossible. It was now in rebel hands. So Bligh made a bold decision: sail to the island of Timor, a distant colony thousands of kilometers away. The journey took 47 days. For nearly 2 months, the crew endured extreme conditions: sharks, storms, heat, hunger, thirst, and blistering sun. Only the captain's discipline, leadership, and prior experience, from expeditions with the legendary James Cook, kept them alive. They had no maps or compass. The rebels left only a sextant. Bligh navigated by the stars. He kept a detailed journal, even while skirting the deadly Great Barrier Reef, a danger feared even today with modern equipment. They avoided landing on islands, fearing conflict with natives. Remarkably, only 1 man died in an early skirmish. They sailed 3,600 miles, over 5,800 kilometers, across open sea to Timor, a feat of resilience and seamanship. When Bligh finally returned to England, he was sent out again, this time with 2 ships. And he succeeded. To this day, breadfruit grows in the Caribbean. And the rebels? Some returned to Tahiti, hoping to disappear among the locals. Others knew better. The empire would never forget. So they searched for a hiding place. And they found one. In 1790, they reached the uninhabited island of Pitcairn. It was perfect, remote, fertile, with fresh water and rich vegetation. They settled there. To seal their fate, they burned the Bounty in the bay, now known as Bounty Bay. The group consisted of 9 British sailors, 6 Tahitian men, treated as near slaves, and 12 Tahitian women. Each Briton took a wife. The Tahitian men shared just 3 women. Tension was inevitable. For a while, there was peace. But then Thomas McCoy discovered how to distill alcohol from a local root. And everything changed. They drank a lot. McCoy grew violent, took another wife by force. One woman, desperate, threw herself from a cliff. The Tahitian men, enraged by abuse, rebelled. One night, they stole weapons and killed nearly all the British. 5 were beheaded. Only 4 remained, John Adams, Edward Young, William McCoy, and Matthew Quintal. But the women also took action. That same night, they killed their own men, perhaps out of revenge, perhaps fear. The island descended into chaos. McCoy hanged himself. Quintal, increasingly dangerous, was executed by the others. Young fell ill and died. Only one man remained, John Adams. And then, everything changed. Adams became the spiritual leader. He read the Bible, dismantled the distillery, educated the children, and imposed order. He became patriarch, teacher, and protector. When an American ship arrived in 1808, it found a peaceful, almost utopian community. One adult man and dozens of children raised with faith and values. When the British Empire learned of it, they chose not to punish. But the drama didn't end there. After Adams' death, the island saw adventurers, prophets, and opportunists take control. George Nobbs, a former soldier, took power. Then Joshua Hill arrived, claiming to be sent by the crown. He built a palace, exiled Nobbs, and ruled as a tyrant. Later came John Tay, a Seventh-day Adventist missionary. He convinced the islanders that all of England now followed his faith. They converted, even slaughtered all pigs, for religious reasons. Today, most Pitcairn residents are Seventh-day Adventists. In 2004, the island faced another scandal. Several men were accused of sexual abuse. Some were convicted, others acquitted. The storm passed, but the scar remains. Pitcairn is not only tragedy. Today, it's a place of peace. No traffic lights, no rush. Surrounded by ocean with tropical fruit, pure honey, free internet, and British financial support. Children play at the edge of cliffs. Families farm together. And every new resident is a national event. Pitcairn today feels like a storybook. A tiny community of just 49 people that remains the last British colony in the Pacific. They have a school, a communal hall, a post office, their own flag, and above all, every inhabitant has a name and a story. The island's economy is minimal, but creative. Since 1988, Pitcairn has minted collectible coins, more symbolic than practical. Its real income comes from stamp sales, highly prized by collectors. Add to that the local honey, considered among the purest on Earth, and handmade crafts sold to the few ships that pass between the UK and New Zealand via the Panama Canal. But there's a catch. Pitcairn has no port or airstrip. Its coast is steep, and the ocean can be treacherous. Everything, from mail to honey, is hand-carried in small boats to larger ships offshore. Sometimes, when weather allows, tourists arrive from research vessels or cruise ships. For Pitcairners, that's practically a festival. Reaching Pitcairn is an odyssey in itself. First, you fly to Mangareva in French Polynesia. From there, a ship makes the journey to Pitcairn every few weeks. And even then, you don't land directly. Passengers transfer to small boats for the final stretch, where they're welcomed by a warm, curious, and hospitable community. Pitcairn proves that even after mutiny, chaos, and near extinction, a peaceful, resilient, and deeply human society can be built. And if you're lucky enough to arrive, you won't just be a tourist. You'll become part of the legend.